Okay, so welcome, although I've already somehow given you the welcome. But welcome to the Ashram for Unfoldment. And I would like to start as I always start these weekend retreats, which is with a question. And the question is, what do a person like you do in a place like this? We can start by...
It's not my first time in a place like this, but it's been a long time since I've been in a place like this. And I'm in need of just clearing out
And you thought that
opening.
This could be a good place to...
I thought it would be a good place
Good.
to do that.
Okay, so we will try to satisfy
It has begun already.
I'm hoping to open more, to put it from the negative, still dealing with a lot of fear at times.
Uh-huh.
And I would like to move more into whatever it is my mission is, and I believe that I have a healer that wants to help within me. And I met Marilyn and Mataji.
Yeah,
is
Mataji,
one.
yeah.
Nice people, so I'm here.
So they inspired you and that's why you are here.
Well, I know they are very nice people, and I saw the natural living thing in the magazine, so I'm glad to be here.
Good.
Sari was going to be coming to this with one or two friends, and then they weren't able to come, but she still wanted to go, and I'm here.
And you offered yourself to be company. Okay, well look, probably you are the one that will like it the most.
So, just have recently had a fairly stressful time, and I was looking to reset, to sort of start over.
Right, okay, well this is going to reset you definitely.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'm Roman. I'm going to guide this weekend. You are going to enjoy. We have a saying, the 3 L's: life, love, and laughter. So, you know, one has to live, love, because if you love what you live, you appreciate the beauty of what is around you, and then life becomes more full. And you have to laugh also. You have to have sense of humor. You have to be able to laugh of yourself and your stupidities. And you have to be able of laughing about the situation. So you have to be able of not taking you so serious, in other words. I've been teaching meditation, mindfulness and spiritual practices since 1983, so it's already a lot of years. And the organization for which I teach has been teaching this since 1976. Now it is very expanded and everybody knows about meditation, mindfulness, and it's something that is spoken about a lot. But back when I started, you know, it was, if you were doing those things, you were kind of a strange person. I have a scientific background. I studied physics and medicine, so I am of a very rational approach to things. In that sense, I'm not going to speak to you about any miracle of any description. I'm just trying to make you see what is it that is the subjective experience of existence? Because we have in our minds a concept of what objective existence is. This concept is not the truth, it's simply the concept we have. It changes over time and it changes in space and time, you know. Your family, the parents of your parents, of your parents, of your parents, go back to year 1000, had a concept of the world being a flat earth with a celestial thing, dome, and they had that concept, and that was the concept they had, and they thought that to be true. Today, our minds are much more sophisticated. We have a more sophisticated concept, the Big Bang, the galaxies, this, that, the other. But wait 1,000 years and see what they think about our concept in 1,000 years. So that is, objective reality is, in reality, a subjective experience of whatever reality is, which, you know, we have an idea with, but just that, an idea, a conceptualization of that. So, in this course we are dealing not with what the world is from an objective point of view, but from what the subjective experience of your existence is. And so we are going to speak about things that you will be able to relate directly, because, you know, we are all human beings and we are under the same human conditions of the way our system works, and you will be able to relate directly to your experience of everything I say. And if you cannot relate it directly to your experience, just tell me, because it is that either because my English is not my mother language, I express myself better in Spanish. With time I'll get better. But I might have not explained things well, so you say, that doesn't sound good to me, so I'll try to explain it better, because I'm going to speak about obvious things only. Now, what we are going to learn here is, what experience do you have in meditation? Have any one of you meditated before?
Yes.
You have? You have? You have?
Yes.
You have. What kind of meditation?
I was trained in Vipassana work,
Vipassana?
and I teach a Jewish mindfulness meditation.
Jewish mindfulness meditation. Good. You?
This might. Well, I just, for very short periods of time, I attempt to clear my mind and stay with a difficult feeling as a body experience and be witness to it.
Some sort of vipassana, let's say. Right. And you?
Probably just the short exercises that you read about in either articles or books that talk about relaxing, the kind where you have a couple of cleansing breaths and then try to breathe in your mouth and breathe in your nose and think one when you blow out. Try not to think.
Okay.
That's probably.
With the breathing. Good.
Yeah.
And you?
Well, most recently, I took a meditation class from Donna Bernstein, and then I go periodically to meditation at Kadampa in New York City.
At the Kadampa Center. Okay.
Yes.
So I know that meditation also. Okay, so here we are going to learn several meditation techniques. I'm going to make you an introduction of what we are going to learn. And once I do that, we will do just a very short meditation, because we will start with practicing the techniques tomorrow. but I prefer that you get today an idea of what we are going to speak about and what we are going to learn. So I'm going to use the blackboard. You don't need to take notes, because this is not about acquiring knowledge, it's more about understanding simple concepts. If you understand them, that's it. You have understood them, you will not forget. And if you have not understood them, you can write it in 20 books, that it's useless. So you don't need to take notes. And in any case, all students that come every weekend, from Monday, you will receive an invitation to an online class that will give you a follow-up for 8 weeks of the things that you have learned. So you will be able to, and we will relate through the system, that is an online teaching system. So everything is included. So you just need to understand. You don't need to take notes at any moment, really. But I'm going to use the blackboard because, you know, probably it's because I've been a teacher. I was a visiting scholar in Berkeley, and, you know, I love blackboards. I have to confess. And now there are three. First of all, the meditation techniques, they all come, now they are very, very much like a fad, you know, like in fashion. But they are very ancient, all of them. And they all come from spiritual traditions. The meditation techniques are focused on answering the big questions. Who am I? Where do I come from? What this is all about? What's the sense of all this? All this effort, all this suffering, you know? These are questions that people have asked themselves throughout the ages and still ask themselves today. And the contemplative traditions, i.e. the monks of all traditions, developed methods to find those answers within. And those methods, we could say that are the meditation techniques and spiritual practices. In every tradition, you could say you have like the head of the school, like if it was a painting school, no, like the school of Velázquez or the school of Rubens or the school of the Impressionists. So you have the Buddhists, the Christians, the Jews, you name it, but all of them are expressions of the same yearning and of the same seek, of the same search, which is the answers to those questions. Our emblem, the emblem of our organization, you know, you have within those 5 circles that they represent the music pentagram, the music, the 5 lines where you write
staff.
The staff, the music staff. You have the symbols of Christianity, Vedanta, and Hinduism, Judaism. This is the 5 is Zoroastrianism, the Parsis, which the old Iranians, that we don't know them here, but there is still a big Parsi population in India. Confucianism, which is the I Ching, Islam. Then there is that spiral over there that I will leave it to the end, Taoism, the Buddhism, of the eight, the Buddhism, and the spiral means, and every attempt that humanity throughout the ages and throughout the cultures have done to find the answer to the big questions. Who am I? Like from in the Delphos temple, man know thyself, no? Like, so it would mean philosophy, theater, because philosophy, theater, the Greeks, the theater that starts with the Greek was a kind of an initiation in understanding the human mind. And that's why in the Greek tragedies, you know, you see all those questions somehow represented. And theater, for example, Shakespeare, in his dramas, tragedies, and comedies, every human situation, he describes it as a tragedy, as a comedy, or as a drama. You know, like the love of a man of a woman. As a tragedy, Romeo and Juliet. As a comedy, Much to Do About Nothing. And as a drama, 12th Night. You know, so it's kind of trying to find out what this subjective experience is all about. So the spiral means that. And the emblem means all those traditions, wisdom traditions, if you want to call them, or spiritual traditions, are not in conflict with each other. They are just notes of the same song that sing to the human beings that the light of the truth is within. Because you find the answers to those big questions, you can only answer them yourself. You cannot take what anybody tells you about it. You have to find that answer with yourself and find it for yourself, because you were born alone and you will die alone. And when you die, because when you were born you were not conscious, but normally when you die you will be conscious that you are dying, and you will be alone with your truth. And that is where you can find the truth, within yourself, because it is not something that they tell you outside. So all these traditions have developed different meditation techniques, and these academicians from several universities studied them all now, because science have made this popular, because they found out that it's good for health. You know, and that's why so many people say, okay, so then let's meditate because it's good for my health. Well, the goal is not to be healthy, really, of meditation techniques. The goal is to answer the big question, but well, they might have as a collateral damage that they make you healthy, but it's not the goal of them. These academicians, which were Luntz, Davidson, in the documentation that I sent you, you have all these things and the references. It was published in Cambridge Academic Press. And basically what they did is they studied the different techniques that different cultures practiced, you know. Because today everything is in the internet also, and you can just look at it, and started to classify what kind of techniques, serious techniques, are there practiced, and they put them in 3 groups. The classification is quite good, really, because it's in reality all the techniques could be put into one of these 3 boxes, and you are going to learn techniques here of both 3 boxes. And the first kind of techniques are concentration techniques. The second kind is open presence techniques. And the third class is loving kindness techniques. concentration techniques, what they use, to begin with, everybody meditates. Even if they have not meditated ever, meditating is a natural state of the mind. The concentration techniques are based on keeping your attention in an object. It could be an object of the senses. It could be breathing, and then your attention is in the breathing and in your sensations while you breathe, the air entering through the nostrils, the movement of the chest, movement of the abdomen. In reality, every cell is breathing and feeling all Vipassana style, so that's your object. But everybody has meditated, because when you are looking at a fireplace, what happens? You have your attention in the fireplace, and we have all done that. You are looking at a fireplace, and your attention is drawn to the fireplace. You keep your attention in the fireplace, because the object feels good to you, right? And then your mind is working, you are having sensations, you are listening things, but your attention is drawn to the fireplace, and you just feel good there in the fireplace, and you let go of everything. You just bring your attention back to the fireplace. Have you done that? Everybody has done that. Well, that is meditating with an object. We are going to learn to meditate with a visual object instead of a fireplace, and you cannot do it every time you want to meditate, with a candle. But it's the same concept. The concept is you bring your attention to an object and you let your attention be in that object. What will happen during meditation is that while your attention is in the object, say the fireplace, or the breathing, which is your fireplace, the fireplace of all your cells, in reality is more, if you put your attention well in it, it's more interesting than a fireplace, because all the body is breathing at the same time. And once you start feeling that fireplace, that object is good enough for you to stay watching that object. But what happens is that while that object is the object of your attention, other objects appear in your field of consciousness. Could be external objects, like a sound of the room, or someone coughing, or whatever, but mainly it will be internal objects. Thoughts, imaginations, worries, this, that, the other. It's like when you are looking at the fireplace, but they have just sacked you from your job, and so the thought comes to your attention and draws your attention to the thought and takes it out from the fireplace, and you are drawn by the attachment to that particular thought. You understand the concept. So meditation is that you are putting your attention in that object, but thoughts will come. You leave thoughts alone. You don't want to suppress them. You just leave them alone, run freely. You just ignore them, like you would ignore the background music in the supermarket. It's there, but you know it's there, but you are ignoring them. But suddenly a thought comes that you cannot ignore. They have sucked me today, or I didn't pay the mortgage, or my boss is an asshole. You know, it could be anything you are attached to. And then your attention is taken away from the breath, goes to the thought, and in no time you are engaged in a conversation with the boss, or with the this, or with the whatever it is that, and you have elaborated all that thought, and you've lost the attention with the object? Well, meditating is just when that happens and you become aware that that has happened, you just let that thought go. You just let it go because you are now sitting down, you are not with your boss. You just let it go and go back to the object. You take the attention out of the thought by putting the attention back in the object, in the breathing in this case, in the example if you were meditating with the breathing. The effect that this has is the following, and it's an important effect. You learn not to be pushed by your own thoughts, because you develop the muscle, as one could say, to discard a thought, to let go of a thought. When you react in any situation, what is happening is that there is no distance between you and the thought. You are and the thought are the same thing, so the thought pulls you and then you react. But this exercise of letting the thought go and coming back to the object one and another time again creates in you the muscle to, you have a thought, it's going to pull you, but you have created that little distance that is able to be aware of the thought and has the strength to let go the thought, and then instead of reacting, you respond to the situation. So, concentration techniques are based on that basic concept. They have an effect of calming the mind, quietening the mind, and also they have the effect of putting you in deep contact with yourself in different ways. Different techniques are aimed for different purposes. These techniques use objects of the feeling of touch, like breathing. It's your feeling, your feelings, touching the air coming in and out. Of the seeing sense. So, for example, the fireplace, the candle, or of the hearing sense. And then we are going to learn a meditation with mantras. So we will learn meditation using the three different techniques. Now, open presence techniques, the word says it all, is the ability to be present moment by moment where you are. This is very important, because the only place that you can do something for your wellness or for the wellness of the people you love is today. Instead of using the now, that it's kind of that moment that when you are naming it, it's already past. We will put one day. You wake up in the morning and you go to sleep at night. It's only during that day that you can do something for you or for the people you love. You can do something for you to sort out all your problems. You can only do it today, because what you did yesterday, it is already done, and what you have to do tomorrow, tomorrow will be another day. So having all your abilities and senses and feelings and heart in the day you are living are techniques, are the open presence techniques. Techniques focused on creating that ability in the mind to be here and now, moment by moment, without judging how things should be, but learning to be aware of how things are, because things are. If you are aware how the balancing the African savanna works, you don't say that, oh, those lions should not eat those gazelles that are vegetarian and so gracile and those lions. You don't want to say how things should be. You want to be aware of how things are, and to have that ability developed are the open presence techniques. And then there are the loving kindness techniques, that for you to understand is all those techniques that are focused in opening your heart, making you feel loving and compassionate, and you know that includes everything you sang in the churches. You know, before have gone to churches of temples of some description, right? Yeah, and before sang, you know, gospel, kirtan, soul, hymns, everything that singing in the shower, good morning, sunshine, everything that cheers you up is a technique to develop this loving kindness. And a combination of these three techniques, and we are going to learn also loving kindness techniques. So we are learning open presence, loving kindness, and concentration techniques. And we are going to learn them to apply it in the only place you can apply this, which is in the life of one day. Because in reality, if you look at yourselves like from the outside, your subjective experience of life is that you wake up every morning, because the I that you are identified with, the I that you are worried about, the I that makes you suffer, your little I, in final words, it's the waking I. Because in the nights you are not there, or at least you are not in charge. Because the I that worries you is the I that is in charge. Right? So when you go to sleep, you are not in charge. Nature is in charge. In fact, you sleep well when you disappear completely. If you keep appearing during the night, you don't have a good night's sleep. So the best thing of the night is you disappear, because the I will kind of die and be born again the next day. Now, what is it that is born the next day? The next day, what happens? The next day, you wake up to your memories. You know, what's the first thing? What is the first thing that you are sleeping? Think about, make a memory. You are sleeping, you start to wake up in the morning, and what are the first things that come up in your mind? Tell me. All your problems. You know, you start, oh, I have to go to work. Oh, I have this problem here. And you know, you start projecting in the screen of your mind your memories. So you project your memories. The things you say to yourself about yourself, the things you say yourself about life, the memory you have of your circumstances, the people that are part of those circumstances. So little by little, as you wake up, you start projecting that in the screen of your mind, and without saying it, you regard that as reality. Right or wrong? Right? Right. Well, that reality, first thing that I'm going to question is that reality if it is real, it might be real just for you, because you wake up to one reality, you to another, you to another, you to another, and not even husband and wife have a fucking idea, sorry for the word, of what that reality is, or the other way around. So, real, well, real, let's say it's a very limited reality, or a very, very, very partial reality. Okay, so you wake up to these memories and you project that in the screen of your mind, and you know you have the people here, and obviously there is an opinion of things that are not right, because, you know, we project that, and part of it we consider is not right, and because of that we project into a future, and we start speaking with people, and we, you know, if you are thinking about family matters, you might find yourself in the shower speaking with your mother, or with your spouse, or with your children, and if you are thinking about the job, you might directing your thoughts for that respect to your colleague or to your customer, and so on and so forth. And in these inner conversations, we make this kind of projections, right? And we think this is real. Well, real is only the day you have to live. Because this nobody knows, nobody cares. Because in the same way that you are very worried about that, everybody is very worried about their own little that. And nobody will ever know about it. But this reality, yes, yeah, here there are real people. This is a shared reality. We could say that our actuality is our shared reality, right? So we wake up and we do this, and you know, it is an illusory movement that we do in our minds. It's very easy to find out why it is illusory, and why this I that you identify with, because that reality is the I with which you identify. The first thing you have to realize is that it's a flower of one day, because it will die tonight and will never be born again. In the same way that the I that woke up when you were 14, what was that I? Think about it, try to remember. What did you project in your mind, and what was the reality, the I you were when you were 14? Or when you were 20? Or when you were 30? You know, your 20 would be, you know, the girls or the boys or this, that. 30, my career, 40, the family, 50, 60, 70. Think about the I that might wake up when you are, if you live as much as the Spaniards, 83. What will be that I? The I that woke up at 20 will not wake up tomorrow. And from one day to another, you don't see it change like you don't see a baby grow if you are all day with your baby. But it changes from one day to another. During the night, according to the experiences you have had during the day, everything gets restructured by nature, and the projection the next day appears is slightly different. You have a sense of continuity, like you have a sense of continuity when you are seeing a film and it looks like the horse is running, but it's only 24 photos of the horse every second. And it looks like it runs, but it's just different pieces, one at a time. So life is just a matter of one day. When people want to better their lives, you know, in whatever direction you want to better your life, I want to be more peaceful, I want to be whatever, more rich, more whatever you want from life, wherever you want to go in life, you can only do it today. You want to be a Nobel Prize in physics, right? And today, what can you do? Well, today you can sign for the college because you have not yet signed for the School of Physics, and maybe go to the library and read 2 hours about things like that, or go to YouTube and put the MIT videos and get. But what can you do in one day in that direction? Just a little bit. So it's just a matter of having a compass, a direction, and then applying that direction to the day you have to live, and enjoying the ride of the day you have to live. It's like sailing a boat. If you are going from Valencia, I'll put a Spanish example, sorry, to Ibiza, well, you are going to the east, say you are going northeast, no? So you know the direction. But then the wind comes one day, you have the wind here, other day you have the wind there, and you enjoy the sailing of the boat, because it is day by day and putting the sails, however you have to put them, according to the circumstances. In this example, the wind comes to keep yourself in the same direction. It's as simple as that. That is simple, no, to understand. Everybody understands this. So, making your life a good life is just learning to live a good day. And a day, it's only 16 hours. And it's very easy to manage. And this is the main thing we are going to learn. How to deal with one day of your life, which is the only day you have to live. The only day you are experiencing yourself. The only day you meet with real people, because the people you have in your mind are not real, are invented. Think about it. Imagine your mother or your father, choose any one of them, speaking mentally with you in the shower. He will have done it like you have done it. And tell me, the image to which your father or your mother speaks in his mind and the real you are similar or quite different? Tell me, you tell me. Don't be shy. Similar or quite different? Did you understand the question?
Yeah, different.
Different. And that is your mother and your father that raised you, that you have their patterns, that you know blood of their blood, a language of their language. I mean, imagine me that I met you in the street. What image I can have of you? So, you have no existence in anybody's mind. The only real existence you have is today, now. Now you exist for me. You are the real thing. The rest is just an illusion. Now, so think about it. We think we exist in the mind of others. We don't. We even play with our minds. Sometimes in our minds, we look at ourselves as if others were looking at us. Do you know what the others are doing? Exactly the same. We are not bothered about you. Forget about it. We are bothered about them. Okay, so one day the eye, because all this has to do with the eye. In one day the eye is engaged in what? When you wake up and you are in charge of what? Of three things. Or the eye is associated with three things. The actions. I do. I move out of the bed. I will go to the shower. I do this, do that, do the other. So your actions. What other thing the eye is engaged with?
Thoughts?
I think, exactly. I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking the other. Your thoughts. What else?
Feelings.
Exactly, feelings. I feel bored, I feel angry, I feel frustrated, I feel happy, I feel grateful. But from the moment you wake up, the eye feels something, thinks, thoughts, and does things. So, those are the three yogas. Actions is karma yoga. Karma means action. You know, different traditions call it in different ways. Buddhists would say right action, for example, or Christians would say do good, be good, you know, or don't do unto others what you don't want to be done unto you, things like that. But the discipline you apply to actions is, you know, the end goal of all these techniques is to become one with the real I. Because this I that you believe to be real, well, the first thing you have to realize is that it is real only for today. It's not a real reality. Nobody knows it, nobody cares about it, and it's gonna die at the end of the day. We are so worried about this idea we have of ourselves, you know, and what other people think about us, that they think nothing about us, don't care in reality. Or who of you know, and in this country many people do research on the ancestors, but who of you know your direct family, the parents of the parents of the parents of your parents in the 1869? Their names, what they were worried about, their lives, you know something? Well, that's the same amount of people that will know about you in 150 years. Neither your family. So don't worry too much. This is just an experience. You know, you don't need to worry too much. You just need to learn to write this day for the benefit of everything around you and for your own benefit, because your benefit only exists with the benefit of everything around you. In other words, you cannot be happy if everything around you is unhappy. So it's you, and what surrounds you is kind of the same thing. And as I'm going to try to make you understand during this weekend, you will see that it's the same thing, because you recognize what is around you. With what you recognize what is around you and what is around you were two things that grew at the same time. In other the idea behind this is that you recognize your world because of previous impressions. If you were born without senses, you know, deaf, blind, no nose, no taste, no touch, imagine, no senses at all. And they have kept you alive. Tell me, what would you know? Nothing. Without senses, you can know nothing. Nothing around you. Who are your parents? How do they speak? What do they look like? How do they smell? Nothing. So, those impressions that you have in your mind were created by the exterior, and this was something that grew in a kind of dance. It's a movement, everything was moving outside and inside, and as the outside was moving, was creating new impressions with which you reacted to the outside in different ways. And so your surroundings, your circumstances, and the instrument you have to recognize your circumstances in reality are the same thing. So you cannot be happy without your circumstances being happy, because it's the same thing. So the only place where you can do something about it is today, dealing with your actions, with your thoughts, and with your feelings, which are the three yogas. Karma means action, the other yoga, jnana, means discrimination. Because thoughts, you know, basically the thinking ability should serve to discriminate between the real and the unreal. Not judge. Judge is saying this is good, this is bad. With judgment, you don't understand reality. A scientist would not be able to understand an atom if he thought that electrons, look, they are negative and without mass, they are the evil. And look, the protons, positive and with mass. To understand things, you cannot have a judgmental mind. You have to have a discriminative mind. So to discern. So using thoughts to discern between what is real and what is unreal is jnana yoga. And then feelings, bhakti yoga. What is the feeling that makes your day a nice day? With what feeling have you woke up sometime in the past that made your day that you woke up and everything was absolutely great? Think about it. When that happened in your life? You cannot answer? When you were in love, when you were teenagers, don't you remember? You remember? Of course, love, when you wake up feeling love, you know, everybody is lovely. Don't you remember? Those days lost? Well, that infatuation of the teenage years, it's a reflection of real love. And unfolding that feeling, and that's why the loving kindness techniques are there, is bhakti yoga. So those are the three yogas. The meditation techniques basically are like mental gymnastics. It's like the mind is with which you write your life. So it would be, the meditation techniques could be like, an analogy would be having the engine well tuned in, the oil, the carburetor clean, the wheels perfectly aligned. So meditation techniques is to kind of have the mind, which is with which you are riding this ride, in perfect order. And then the karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga are the spiritual practices with which you deal with the sails that you have to use day to day to guide your boat swiftly and nicely throughout life. And this is what I'm trying to teach you this weekend, and with the online support during 8 weeks. Question?
Well, some of what you say doesn't fit with some of the other teachings that have passed me by. For example, I think in Buddhism it is said that you can still remain tranquil and serene and feeling good even if you see around you unhappiness and disruption.
Well, yes, that depending how you understand that. Obviously, yes. I mean, obviously, yes. I mean, you cannot really, if you, compassion is love, you know, and love is not describable. Anybody trying to describe love is like anybody trying to describe how sugar tastes. You can do a poem, and the poem may transmit the feeling, but it's, you know, you cannot conceptualize love. You don't think you love, you feel love. So they are different things. Obviously, that you can be surrounded by, you know, I don't know, in the middle of a war, and you can be surrounded by a lot of suffering, and you can remain in your quietude and in your inner peace, knowing that this is just a play, and today is just what's going on today. But if love is real, you will feel the pain of the other person, and you will have no other option but to help him. Because compassion and the Christian injunction of love thy neighbor as thyself is because thy neighbor is in fact thyself. It's not that like if it was, no, he is thyself. Without him you would not be able to exist. Without you, he would not be able to exist. So, you know, obviously that you can remain in quietude, but love is an experience, not a concept. And that is a very typical mistake that we do with our thinking ability, which is we listen to something, we compare it with our previous impressions. If it fits it, we keep. If it doesn't fit, we throw it away. But to understand, it is setting the word understand. To understand anything, you have to understand. Stand under. You put yourself under, and you let yourself completely imbued, and you relate it to your heart and to your own experience, not to your thoughts, because your thoughts will never tell you what reality is all about. Never, ever. More questions?
Just ask practical questions. I'm not sure how often how long we'll be together, and what times we'll be together, and what we'll be doing.
Here during the weekend? Yeah. Practical, yeah, logistics. One has to be practical. Now, tomorrow we will start at 9. So we will leave you in the kitchen, everything like for you to have breakfast. So you will have a kind of bread, coffee prepared, to have coffee, all the things. And then you will have sausages, you just choose, and there will be eggs, you can just fry an egg, whatever. it's on you. You have all the components and the kitchen. So you wake up and you do your things, you have breakfast, and we start at 9. And then at night, we will have a meditation. In fact, as today is late, we will skip the meditation today. We will start with the meditation tomorrow morning. I will explain the meditation. It will take me about 15 to 20 minutes so that you understand well how the technique is done, and we will do it. It's a meditation that we use the gong, we use several things. I will teach it to you. You will have a very, very nice experience. After the meditation, we will have like 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes to have a coffee, rest, and then say that 9, so it will be at 10:30. By the time we finish and we have 10:30, we will have another technique explained, which is the morning techniques. For each day, to start the day, you are going to learn a technique to start the day. Starting the day is very, very important. It's the moment that you are most intimate with yourself. Your mind comes from, the mind at the end of the day more or less has been quieted during the sleep state. You feel intimate with yourself. You are kind of very close to yourself. It's like you come from within and you come out to this, you are born somehow. It's kind of being born. That little I is being born every morning. So it's a very important moment to deal with that little I. We are going to learn to deal with that little I. That little I is what makes you suffer. That thing that we project in our minds is what makes you suffer. Because all of you, have you suffered? Yes? Suffered in the sense of anxiety, stress, not being expansive, but suffering. Well, think about it. What did make you suffer? What you were thinking about the situation, because the situation, moment by moment, have you every day of your life had a nice bed to sleep? Yes? Comfortable? Yeah. Every day of your life since you were born, you had food to eat? Good food to eat, or nice food to eat? Yes? True? Yeah, pretty much so, right. And something to wear, clothes to wear, even if it was cold, yes, right. And then the rest were experiences. Moment by moment experiences. But what made you suffer? Was your interpretation of those experiences? Was what you thought about of those experiences? What makes you suffer is that little I. That little I that projects himself in your mind, that tells you that that is your reality, and tells you that a part of your reality is wrong. And something has to change. And you believe that to be true. And that is what makes you suffer. Not life. Life, if you learn how to live life, life is very, very much enjoyable. Very much enjoyable. And that doesn't mean that you don't care for the rest of the people. Of course you care, because it's enjoyable when you care. John Lennon said that life is that thing that goes by you while you are worried.
Making other plans.
Making plans, something like that, exactly. So a little bit like that. So life is there and you are making plans that never happen, because think about a date in your life so that you can remember. Think about the days previous to the September 11. Not the September 11 that is, but think about the days previous to September 11. Right? Go to your memory. Previous days to September 11. Now, try to remember how was your room, the room where you slept, your bed. Try to remember where you slept, how was your room. Try to get there from your memories. Now, try to recover what is it that you projected then in your mind. What did you say to yourself about yourself? What did you say then to yourself about life? What kind of projections to the future you were making? What was your opinion of what was bad and had to change? Try to recover that in your memory. You've done it, everybody? Now, and now tell me, what has that to do that you did in those days with today? Nothing. Right. So you are doing a stupid projection. Today you are doing the same. You are doing the same stupid projection a few years later. Always pursuing a future that never comes. That makes you suffer. And to deal with that is what we are going to learn. So we learn the morning practices. I explain them. And we will practice them the next Sunday in the morning when you wake up. So we will practice them. By the time I finish this, we will do a meditation, and then we will have lunch like at 1. Then from 1 to 3, you can have a Spanish siesta, or go for a walk, or things like that. At 3, we will learn another meditation, a meditation, mantra meditation, and we will practice it. And then this will take us more or less until 5, because you know when we finish it we will leave 15 minutes for coffee. Although you know when we finish, I will say in 15 minutes. We could finish a little bit before, a little bit later. But so we will start like at 5. We will start with thoughts, and I will explain you how the mind works. Now this is very important, because if you know how something works, you can deal with it. You know, if you know the equations of Maxwell and how the electromagnetic field works, you can build a radio or a telephone or or whatever, because you know how it works, so you have creative power over it. If you don't know how it works, you have no power over it. So knowing how the mind works is important. So I will dedicate from 5 to 6 to give you an overview of the main things that one needs to know about how the mind works. And every mind works the same. And you will be able to relate everything with your experience, because everything that I am going to tell you, you will be able to relate it directly to your experience. And then at 6 or say 6:30 maximum, we will finish, and then at 7:30 we have a drum circle. Now this is just kind of the gospel part of the course. We have a very, very famous tabla player. You know the tabla? tabla player coming, and other people coming from his school, and they are going to do a drum circle. We have drums, and they are going to bring drums, and we will just enjoy like little children. Trying to, flow with the flow, go with the flow, and with the rhythm. Rhythm is like the heartbeat. Music is the energy of life, is the heartbeat. Music is the rhythm. In music is based on the rhythm, and everything is a rhythm, no? Everything is in rhythm. Breathing is a rhythm. Every day, night, everything is rhythms, in between rhythms. The Hindus have a very developed theory on rhythms, and that's why these tabla concerts and this knowledge they are very nice. So we will have that at 7:30. It's party time, so we will have kind of wine served. If you want to drink a little bit of wine, so it's party time, and then we go to bed when the party finishes. And then the following day, you will wake up, you will do your morning practices that you will have learned tomorrow. We will do the first meditation in the morning. That will be part of what I will be explaining tomorrow, but we will not practice it. We will do it the next day. So we will do the morning practices together before breakfast, and then you will have breakfast. And then at 11:30, we will have a group meditation where you will meditate again with the mantra meditation that you have already learned. After that, I will continue finishing explanation about how the mind works, and I will introduce a little bit of the techniques applied to your feelings, and then we will have lunch. And then at 4, we have a session with singing bowls. You know the singing bowls?
Bowls.
This is this woman called Michelle Clifton, that she has all these bowls, Tibetan bowls of different sizes, and you will be lying down, and it's a very nice experience. And that will be the last thing, and then you go back home, relaxed, having learned practical things that you will be able to apply in your day-to-day life, and particularly if you follow a little bit the discipline you are going to learn with the support through the online system. Here, the proof of the pudding is in trying. You will see that this works in not a long time. You will realize it in 3-4 weeks. You don't need to wait more to realize how effective is what you are going to learn. It will transform not your life, but your perception of life. And what you saw like a terrible thing will suddenly look a little thing. It's like, those things that you might remember today, of those things that looked terrible when you were, say, 17, but that you look them now and they're a little thing. So you acquire that perspective. More questions? Nothing? Okay, so to finish, we will do just a small meditation with your breathing. We will do the following thing. You will just take 3 breaths. First I will explain it and then you do it. You will take three breaths by just breathing quickly in and letting the air go out by itself, and just letting the lungs until they stop by themselves and not making anything to move them until by themselves they move again to breathe in. And when they move again to breathe in, you just push them a little bit to do it quickly in, and the second, and the third, so 3 breaths like that, and then you just let breathe alone in its own rhythm, and that will be your fireplace. You start being aware of your breath maybe coming in and out your nostrils, but you will feel your chest and your abdomen and in fact all the body breathing, and just let the rest of objects that appear in front of your consciousness, you just let them go. Could be noises in the room or coughs and thoughts, just let them go. But if a thought traps you, when you realize that you have lost contact with your breath, you just let that thought go by bringing your attention back to your breathing, right? So come on, let's do it.